Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Christine here with Help Solve the Case, and we are talking about Broken Plea, the book by retired FBI agent Christopher Whitcomb. Oh my goodness, what a nightmare in this case. I'm shocked beyond comprehension. We are here we've made it to chapter 14. Thank you for reading along with me and listening to my take on it. Just to be clear, I have not been involved in anything in the case. I'm just reading the book, brand new. I know a bit about the forensic genetic genealogy because that's what I work on, and that's how the case came on my radar, so to speak. But any of the nitty-gritty and the details I am learning through this book. And based on requests by folks like you, wonderful people who have taken such an interest in this case and know way more than me, I'm going to go through it all because it doesn't make sense to me. The biggest thing for me with the FGG, with what I knew about the FGG, the forensic genetic genealogy, I was shocked when he took a plea. And now to read this book, like the title, Broken Plea, I was like, what's all that about? So here we are. So thank you for being with us. And I look forward to going through more cases with you, still focusing on this case as we get into, I can't wait to see the crime scene stuff and all the, I don't know, to make sense of it. That's right. I'm a very visual person, so we'll be good. So thanks for being here. Okay. So we're on chapter 14. We've made it this far. And Whitcomb entitled it Dark SUV, Loud Exhaust, and 12, oh my God, I don't know what, something, nanograms maybe per milliliter. All right. So he says, that's the title of the chapter. So he says, there's no way to properly analyze the case without addressing the issue of how the killer actually got to and escaped from the house. That, yeah, matters. Based on widely available door camera video, which Moi has not seen, you all know, I don't know about the white four-door sedan police have identified as an Elantra and tied to Bryan Kohberger. Y'all know from the same video that the DoorDash driver, Molly McMichael, was there as well. I haven't seen that yet. I'm getting there. She can be seen walking up and down Queen Road with a flashlight just minutes before the crimes. And based on police reports, we know she claims a light-colored sedan drove next to her as she was walking. Okay. So he starts putting parts of Brett Payne's, I don't know what the LCP, Latah County prosecuting attorney. So that's interesting. It's interesting that it's a LCPA supplemental 157. I'm assuming that's the Latah County prosecuting attorney's office. It should be an MPD supplemental. If it was his report, it should be MPD, not LCPA. So I'm thinking, and I don't know, it's just cop stuff popped in my head. He wrote this after the case went to the prosecution because it should be an MPD report. So anybody know the date on that? Because it sounds like that's weird. That's weird. Bryan Kohberger was arrested on December 30th. So it would not, I don't know, it shouldn't be into the prosecution at this point is what I'm thinking. Anyhow, okay. So it says, during the time McMichael was in the area of the King Road residence, the white Elantra can be seen via the 1112 King Road camera driving back and forth on Walenta Drive and then entering the Queen Road loop at approximately 0356 hours. Whitcomb writes, the DoorDash driver said she first parked behind the house based on the GPS what the GPS, I was going to say based on the GPS, they know where she parked, but based on the GPS, what the GPS told her, but then got out and walked around front trying to verify the address. And this is according to the report. McMichael said she started to walk down the road, which runs north-south immediately to the east of the residence. McMichael stated a tan sedan drove next to her while she was walking. Okay, that sounds pretty close, okay. Whitcomb writes, for some reason, police did not trust her recollection. This going back to Payne's report. At that point, McMichael pulled into the front parking lot before she dropped the order off. The Elantra pulled in behind McMichael's vehicle, a gray Subaru Forester, and then exited the King Road at approximately 03:58 hours. McMichael did not mention seeing the white Elantra behind her at any time. People have poor situational awareness. If you are not aware of that, let me tell you that, okay? I haven't seen it, but it happens all the time. It happens all the time. He continues, perhaps she did, but it appears the police did not believe her. Continuing with the report. Subsequent investigation of video footage and cellular data showed the tan sedan McMichael saw was likely a light-colored SUV which left the area. Now he says, okay, this is confusing. Okay, this is Whitcomb talking, the author. He said, those who viewed the 1112 video for themselves will see an unidentified SUV did arrive at 3:46:07. 3:46:07, but that is almost certainly McMichael arriving in her gray Forester. Do we have any timestamp difference on the video? Just FYI. She can be seen walking with a flashlight at 3:51:42, time-stamping her presence in front of the house, and we can see from the video that no other vehicle drives down King Road until 3:53:38, when a light-colored sedan leaves via King Road towards Taylor. At 3:56:24, a white sedan enters the neighborhood and passes King to Queen, out of sight, only to return at 3:58:19. McMichael's Subaru is seen leaving the area at 4:00:38, making it impossible that she saw an SUV. So I'm confused. I'm very visual. So without seeing it and without mapping it out, she says she's seeing a tan sedan driving north and south. I think that's the car that we're missing. Yes? And then the Elantra, according to the video, pulled in behind her, but she doesn't mention that. I think that's what he's trying to say here. Whitcomb continues, why, one might ask, is this important? He says, the single least debatable fact in this entire case is that a white four-door sedan traveled in and out of the new neighborhood numerous times until 4:20:45, when it leaves at a high rate of speed and disappears south up Elantra. He says Bill Thompson made it part of his evidentiary testimony at Kohberger's change of plea hearing. Okay, and this is what Thompson said. So Whitcomb has this in the book from the hearing. He says, this is what the prosecution was saying. At approximately 4:20 that morning, defendant's car is seen on a surveillance camera for 1112 King Road, leaving the area at a high rate of speed. The evidence would show that following that, the defendant in his Elantra drove south of Moscow. We know that he drove on the back roads because there are surveillance cameras on the main highways, Highway 95, that would have picked up the defendant's car if he's gone that route. Now, Whitcomb comes back and he says, what no one has yet publicly discovered, however, is that there's another vehicle that presents compelling questions about who might have gone in and out of that house Sunday morning. Oddly enough, this mystery starts with Dylan Mortensen. Oh, goodness. She told police she saw a dark truck passing the house just after the crimes. Okay, where did that come from? Where did the dark truck come from that she saw, that she said? I haven't heard that. Did I read that in the book? I don't think I read that in the book. Did I miss that? So now we have the DoorDash driver saying that there was a vehicle coming up north and south. The DoorDash driver misses some white Elantra parking right behind her. And now Dylan sees or saw and told somebody a dark truck passed the house after the crimes. Was she outside? Where did that come from? Did I miss that? I can't keep track of all this. So, I think he's going to help me out here. Hold on. So Whitcomb says here, in order to place the vehicle in context, we need to return to her November 17, 2022 interview with ISP Detective Vicky Gooch and MSP Detective Dustin Blaker. Thank God, because I'm lost. Okay. Oh, thank you. Though we have covered written summary of this discussion, ISP Supplemental 003, the author has obtained the actual audio recording, which had not been released to the public at the time of this writing. This interview was conducted at Mortensen's residence in Boise with her lawyer, Robin McPherson, present via video feed from the Sullivan Law offices in Moscow. Okay, so maybe that part wasn't summarized. I don't know. So this is what Whitcomb is putting from the transcript. Can you think of anything else right now? Gooch asked at the 1:26:28 mark. No. Oh, so this is something else that I remember. Cars do come by a lot, but I remember looking out the window. I just remember, I think it was a black truck. I don't remember. I don't know for sure, but like that is normal for cars to go by, but like I don't know if that could be something, just a car driving past our driveway. At the end of the closing of the interview, and Gooch says, what time was that? And she says, sorry guys, that was just when I went down to see Bethany, so I don't know exactly when that was. Well, when did she go down to see Bethany? Right? Right? Gooch asks, was it moving? Was it in movement? And she says it was moving. It wasn't stopped at all. It was moving. And like people drive by our driveway, like around this side housing neighborhood a little bit. Like we hear cars go by all the time. That's not weird, but and she says, but when you were making your way to Bethany's room, and Dylan says, that's not when it was when I got into Bethany's room. I don't know why I looked out the window, but I saw a car drive by, and I believe it was, I shouldn't say I believe because I don't know for sure, but I think it was a black truck. But I don't know for sure. It could have been, it was dark, and I just thought it was a black truck. So, Whitcomb, he's the statement guy. Why is he not giving anything on the statements here? That would be interesting, right? Because he's the statement analyst. It's his expertise, right? Not book writing, right? Or has he written books? I don't really know the guy. Is the black truck on the surveillance? Is the black truck on the surveillance? That would be a good question. Oh, He's good. He answers my questions. Hold on. He says, as luck would have it, one can actually document her statement via the 1112 door cam recording. At 4:23:49, a dark full-size SUV passes in front of the 1122 King Road with a distinctive audio signature caused by what appears to be a very loud exhaust. Unlike the white sedan, this dark SUV turns right on Taylor Road instead of left on Elantra. We know this because of the dumpster video, which clearly shows it passing eastbound on Taylor at 4:25:17. So, my question would be, and again, I don't know, I'm just reading the book. Where is this window that makes it possible? Can we see, well, if it's 1112, hold on. I was just looking to make sure with the numbering that we wouldn't be able to see. Is there any video that faces the house that could see if people were looking in and out of windows and stuff? Whitcomb's giving us a zinger here. He said things start to get interesting, however, when the dark SUV returns to King Road at 4:28:49, as documented by the 1112 camera. Review of the dumpster video verifies it returning along Taylor Road, meaning it left the neighborhood just 5 minutes after the white Elantra and then returned about 4 minutes later. Okay. Whitcomb says what really stands out, however, is a third set of images captured by widely known footage referred to as the Linda Lane video. This is the same camera police relied upon to document travel of the white Elantra before and after the crimes. Careful review of the footage shows the boxy SUV, I'm assuming this is the black one, or the dark one, parked nose in facing the camera. It's parked nose in where? It's parked nose in where? When it returns to King Road, I don't know where it's parked face in, nose in. At 4:23:17, an unidentified subject carrying a backpack can be seen, backpacks, we got that in Nancy, can be seen walking from the direction of 1122 King Road across the parking lot towards the truck. What? What? Where was it parked nose in? They appear to open the tailgate of the SUV, which triggers the interior dome light and then climb in through the driver's side door. What? What is this? Where's the truck parked? Y'all, where's the truck parked? Okay, he says, here's where things start to get weird. Okay, I'm already weirded out because I don't know where this truck is parked and I'm trying to visualize it in my head. He says the SUV leaves its parking spot near Linda Lane, passes down Queen, turns right on Taylor, returns the same route 4 minutes later. Instead of returning to its original parking space, however, it stops in front of 1122 King Road. I'm so lost. We know this because the Linda Lane video shows that it did not return, and the distinctive sound of its exhaust is recorded by the door cam at 1112. Based on the recording and the SUV's distinctive exhaust, it seems clear that the vehicle stops in front of 1122, idles there for about 30 seconds, and shuts down its engine. You can hear a door close. Okay, I'm so confused about where the car is and where the, okay, although the 1112 camera did not, this is why you have to make your writing clear. Although the 1112 camera did not provide visual evidence, a witness did. Where's the I'm lost. Okay. It's face nose in where? All right, hold on. Okay, I'm trying to figure this out. So somewhere over here on Linda Lane, there's a video. And the boxy SUV was nose in, facing the camera, somewhere over here. And it sounds like at 4:23:17, somebody is walking. It says from the direction, so we're going to say they're going to be walking this way somewhere, wherever. I don't know where on Linda Lane it is, because I haven't seen that. I'm trying to understand. Okay. And then they open the tailgate, climb in through the driver's side. Okay. So then the SUV, what color should we use? We'll use pink. The SUV leaves its parking spot. I don't know. How does it go down Queen? How does it go down Queen? Passes down Queen. Passes down Queen, because here's Queen, but then it's King, and then it's Taylor. It says, I don't know. I'm thinking somehow the thing went like this. I think that's what he's trying to say. And turns right on Taylor. And then returns by the same route 4 minutes later. I don't know. I'm confused. I can't. I got to watch video and get better with it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm confused. It's not making sense the way he's describing it to me, looking at the map here. Okay, so however that went, he says, although the 1112 camera did not provide visual evidence, a witness did. He says, according to police, a neighbor named Nick Makowicz contacted them November 18th to report hearing the loud engine Sunday morning around 4:30, the time of the event, right? ISP Detective Hugh Powell documented the call in ISP Supplement 196. See the difference? ISP Supplement 196, not Loudoun County Prosecuting Attorney. Noting that Makowicz lived at 1106 King Road. Powell wrote, this is Whitcomb's excerpt from the supplement, after going to bed, he had been asleep for approximately an hour when he was awoken by a vehicle with a loud exhaust speeding away down the street past his house. Well, let me tell you, criminals, you don't want to, if you're going to be, let me rephrase that. If you're going to be a criminal or involved in something that may come to the attention of the police, you don't want to have a loud exhaust. So that's a little surprising to me, that if you know your car has this loud exhaust, right? If this vehicle is involved, doesn't make sense right now. Makowicz said he did not actually see the vehicle, but a different neighbor did. Okay. So on February 16, 2023, Detective Payne interviewed a man named Jeffrey Manning. He wrote in LCPA Supplement 147. See the difference? Why should Detective Payne, who works for Moscow PD, be writing an LCPA supplement? It should be in a Moscow PD supplement. So I don't know what's going on there. Okay. According to the report supplement, or the snip here from the report, it says Manning started by stating he lived at 1868 Conestoga Drive in Moscow and had called in a tip early on in the investigation about seeing a vehicle drive by his house at approximately 4:25 to 4:30 on the morning of November 13th. Manning told me he was out in front of his house placing items into his recycling and trash bins. Manning told Payne he could not describe the vehicle other than its headlights, teardrop-shaped taillights, and unusually loud exhaust. He believed it was an SUV. Payne reported, Manning also told me the vehicle was going faster than usual, but did not seem to be driving erratically or dangerously. Manning told me it was quite unusual for anyone to be driving in the area at that time of night and said he had not seen many cars driving at that time of night since the morning of November 13th, 2022. Okay, so while it was weird for car, and he says cars, plural, he had not seen many since that. So he saw many prior to then. So that's interesting. So Whitcomb continues here and saying, it seems the police, Moscow police, were not the only ones aware of this SUV. Manning stated he was contacted by someone from the Kootenai County Public Defender's Office, wherever that is, who asked him about the dark SUV he caught on security camera, Payne wrote, adding that Manning did not have any surveillance footage to give them. Where is Kootenai? What is that? Kootenai. I don't know what that word is, Kootenai. Okay, so I Googled. It looks pretty far away, so I don't know what's up with that. With the Kootenai. I don't know how we say that. Interesting. So Whitcomb continues, perhaps not, but fortunately the camera at Linda Lane did footage of this SUV. At 6:23 a.m., the mysterious SUV, now I'm really intrigued, returned to its original parking lot to the east of 1122 King Road near Linda Lane. Okay, where was it, Bart? It appears that the same person who entered the vehicle at 4:23 exits the driver's side door with a backpack and walks west back toward 1122 King Road. What's it look like, Chris? Don't just leave me hanging. He says, for the record, this is the dark SUV with the same distinctive exhaust that is documented leaving and returning approximately 4 minutes after the crime by 3 witnesses and 3 separate cameras. This is the vehicle that left Linda Lane only to park for 2 hours in front of the crime scene and return to its original parking spot 2 hours later. That's weird. The camera at 1112 King Road provides no indication that the vehicle started or moved during that time. I'm so lost, okay? Okay, he says, for those wondering what might have happened inside the house in the 8 hours after the crimes, who might have cleaned up the common areas of the second floor, and where all those blood-soaked materials might have gone, the dark SUV prompts compelling discussion. To this day, no one has identified the distinctive-looking vehicle. Are you kidding me? What was Kootenai asking about it? Has anybody followed up with that? Why was Kootenai? Why were they at? Whatever that, however you say it. To this day, no one has identified the distinctive-looking vehicle with the easily identifiable exhaust. Why did someone walk out to it at 4:30? Did you check those apartments, whatever, over there? Like, I now want to see this video. Why did someone walk out to it at 4:30 in the morning? I'm sure the cops around there know that car with that exhaust. Why did they walk to it at 4:30 in the morning, put something in the back, drive away, only to return 4 minutes later, park in front of the house, only to repark in its original spot 2 hours later? This is freaky deaky. I don't know. I don't know. Oh my God, you guys. Okay. It looks like in this chapter, we're getting into the medical examiner stuff, and I really don't want to engage in any kind of graphic whatever. So I'm going to, every one of these I've been reading along. I'm gonna read through this and then I'm gonna come back. Okay, so this is what Whitcomb writes about this portion here. Retired FBI Special Agent Christopher Holland is a forensic criminologist engaged by the defense to evaluate certain aspects of the prosecution's case. Based on thousands of Brady disclosure files, he composed a behavioral evidence analysis seeking to establish and understand the role of victim psychodynamics and their contextual vulnerability with relation to the crimes. Relevant portions of his 38-page report are here excerpted verbatim. Now, we saw that the Idaho State Police had their victimology people working on it, right, to understand what happened to the victims, or why, maybe, motive, things like that. And this is the defense expert to try to just maybe see what he sees on the case or come up with different things. So I mentioned there's a lot of horrific stuff here on the autopsies, and so I'm going to try to go to the victimology. So let me put this here. Okay, so from Whitcomb's book, where he said he put Holland's report, he says, these are excerpts, based on potentially harmful elements and behavioral factors impacting Goncalves' day-to-day life, she is assessed a medium lifestyle exposure. Based on actual vulnerability to harm, she is assessed a medium situational exposure. Mogan, moderate lifestyle exposure. Based on actual vulnerability to harm, a moderate situational exposure. So is moderate lower than medium? I don't think we have a chart here. Kernodle, moderate lifestyle exposure, moderate situational exposure. Chapin, moderate lifestyle, moderate situational exposure. So I don't have any exposure to this not exposure. I don't have any experience with his chart or his results, so I don't know how to do this. Now it goes into possible evidence of two offenders. Let me read through that because I don't want to be disrespectful or gross here. Okay, according to Holland, these attacks were not spontaneous. The offenders had to select, surveil, and prepare for the attacks. The planning was not extensive, however, based on errors made in altering the crime scene and the handling of the dog. Evidence indicates that the offenders, plural, were either unaware Ethan and Zaina were home or anticipated they were asleep and did not expect to encounter them when they moved to the third floor. At least one offender was dressed in black and wearing a balaclava to conceal their identity. The offenders had knowledge of the house. Holland continues here talking about signature behaviors. stating they're acts committed by an offender that exceed what would normally be expected during a crime. These excessive actions suggest a psychological or emotional need that is unique to the assailant at the time of the offense. Both Goncalves and Mogen received identical post-mortem wounds to the throat and left shoulder. That would be like a signature calling card. These post-mortem wounds represent a compulsion by the offenders to disfigure the victims. They indicate an excessively violent behavior associated with rage. Okay. He says, based on these characteristics, we can conclude the following. Kaylee was the primary target. She completed her coursework and moved from 1122 King Road to her parents' home in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Isn't that where the Kootenai is? Whatever, however you say it. She returned to U of I that weekend for the express purpose of attending the homecoming football game and selling furniture she had in her room in preparation for her move to Austin, Texas. So, if she was the primary target, who would have known that she would be back? How would they have known that she would have been back? Bryan or otherwise? The weekend of 11/12/13 would have presented the killers with one last opportunity to kill her. It says, this is Holland's words, they bypassed persons on the second floor and went directly to the third floor seeking Goncalves. Goncalves sustained strangulation and blunt force trauma resulting in facial fractures, strangled by hand, the most personal of all homicidal methods. He talks about overkill. It says one or both offenders had a deep personal anger against Goncalves. It was directed primarily at her face, which was severely disfigured in an effort to destroy her identity. And that word means a lot to me. This indicates the offender had a personal and deeply hateful relationship with his intended target. It says his intended target. Madison was the secondary. It says an intended, though secondary target. So it was those two girls, according to Holland. It says the killer's aggression towards Mogen would be described as retaliatory anger, but to a lesser extent than Goncalves, as she sustained far fewer injuries. The act of staging Goncalves' head on Mogen's shoulder, the identical nature of wounds inflicted post-mortem on both victims, and the fact that the killers tucked them in, his words, beneath the comforter, indicate they were aware of and resented the close relationship between Goncalves and Mogen. As Mogen's injuries were less severe than Goncalves, the anger towards Mogen was possibly due to her relationship or a trait that she shared with Goncalves and not specifically because of something Mogen had done. So what is that? How does that apply to Bryan? How does that apply to anybody? Zana, I call her Zana, as people told me it's Zana, so I apologize. Zana was murdered to protect the identity of the offenders. Had she been sleeping in her bedroom, it is unlikely she would have been killed. Ethan was murdered to protect the identity of the offenders. Had he not awakened, it is unlikely he would have been killed. So what about Dylan and Bethany? How do you look at somebody and not get killed? Where is that in his report? I don't understand that. I'm not knocking what he's saying. I'm still confused. Okay. So Whitcomb says here, if the first two pillars of Bill Thompson's case are DNA in the white sedan, the third and final pillar is the FBI cast analysis tying Bryan Kohberger's cell phone to the scene. To be precise, no law enforcement document ever places Kohberger's phone anywhere near the scene of the crime between the hours of 2:47 a.m. and 4:48 a.m. If the state is correct in asserting that all four murders occurred in the moments before the surveillance cameras at 1112 King Road recorded what sounded like a woman, Xana, screaming, and a white sedan speeding away, it could not have tied it to Kohberger's phone because it was off. He says, what we know about the prosecution's evidence in lieu of a trial, because we didn't get to hear what they were going to present, he says, begins with what Latah County prosecuting attorney told us at the change of plea hearing. At about 4:48 in the morning, the defendant's phone comes back on, Thompson states, and the evidence will show that the phone was located south of Moscow, likely at a side road intersection with Highway 95. Whitcomb says using the term likely might seem conspicuously, I don't even know that word, effete, in a death penalty prosecution, but those were his words. From there, the defendant's phone activity tracks a heading back north towards Pullman, Washington, where the defendant lived. At about 5:26, starting about 5:26, various surveillance cameras in Pullman, Washington pick up the defendant's vehicle as he enters Pullman from the south and heads north and slightly west towards his apartment, where he arrived at approximately 5:30 in the morning. So Whitcomb talks about this CAS report, this quote, towards Pullman. He says it means absolutely nothing. That cell tower analysis shows that it was impossible to track Kohberger's phone to less than a 10-mile radius. That's a pretty big radius. He says, yes, he could have been traveling towards Pullman or anywhere else north of Nevada. But there's more. There's always more with Whitcomb, right? Based on Brett Payne's December 20th arrest warrant affidavit, and we think that's December 30th, folks, we know about what, well, I don't know, all about what prosecutors believed at the time. We will recall that police referred to Kohberger's AT&T cell by the last four digits in his number, and I pulled that because I'm going to go through that separately, so I did not go through that. So what he's saying here is the phone number did not show the phone utilizing the cell tower resources in the area or close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 and 5 a.m. Okay? So Whitcomb continues. So Whitcomb is saying that while many would conclude that this was due to the phone not being anywhere near the location, he says, remember that Payne extrapolated based on his experience, which we did read, I did read that part, that individuals can either leave their cell phone at a different location before committing a crime or turn their phone off in an attempt to thwart law enforcement. Whitcomb goes on to talk about the CAST analysis, the phone dump, we could call it, the phone dump and the CAST analysis, that it utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Idaho State Highway 95 south to Moscow. He lists some locations and let me put this here. Whitcomb says here, although all this makes sense on the surface, Payne did not mention the FBI's specific analysis or the fact that the only way to verify cell tower pings was to match them with what they claimed to be their suspect's white Hyundai Elantra. Bizarrely, says Whitcomb, Payne noted in his affidavit that the FBI analysis did show Kohberger's phone connecting to a cell tower providing service to Moscow on November 14th, 2022, but for some reason did not believe the 8458 phone was in Moscow on that date. Okay, I'm confused on that. Whitcomb then references that on July 8th, 2024, the FBI provided prosecutor's office with a colorful, this is his words, colorful and animated 31-page historical mobile device location analysis completed by Special Agent Nicholas Balance. And it says, this CAST report, page 1, states that MPD requested assistance with 3 target cell phones. It says, which need not be printed here, though they are obviously tied to the murders. One, of course, is Kohberger's, and for reasons not yet explained, the other 2 belong to victims. The report offers basic information about the methodology, which amounts to matching a phone with the cell tower it pings, and notes that the locations are denoted in latitude and longitude using the mapping software that is not further described. Which victims' phones? Like victims? Or residents of the house? I mean, because everybody in the house is a victim of the burglary and the, like a victim. So he's doing these pages, these locations of interest, the pinging on the towers. I'm not going to go crazy with all this. Oh, here we go. We got the answer. 1 second. Says, for reasons that are not immediately obvious, the CAST presentation tracks certain cell communications for Maddie Mogen. Shows her receiving calls at 4:19, 4:21, 4:28. Clearly, these document calls Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk say they made shortly after the murders, but there is no information in the report to indicate origin, type of transmission, length, or connection. He says, the CAST presentation tracks certain cell communications. So is Maddie the victim of the one phone that they pulled? Who are the other people? It says the last 2 pages document Kohberger's phone, pinging more stuff. He talks about, as for the science and methodology behind cell tower analysis, Ann Taylor hired an expert named Cy Ray. According to an April 2024 defense filing, the former police officer and founder of ZX Corporation, I don't know what that is, planned to refute the FBI CAST analysis based on missing information and incomplete data. Okay, this is apparently something this Ray said. I don't know if he's a expert. Ray said, Kohberger's mobile device was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho. On November 13, 2022, Taylor's office wrote, Taylor wrote that, seeking discovery of additional information from police. Bryan Kohberger's mobile device did not travel east on the Moscow-Pullman highway in the early morning hours of November 13th, and thus could not be the vehicle captured on video along the Moscow-Pullman highway near Floyd's cannabis shop. Okay, whatever that is. I don't know if that's him coming home or whatever that was. So, So he says, Cy testified during a preliminary hearing. He's talking about piecemealing data. He says, because of the missing data, because of the data I'm reviewing, that it's incredibly inaccurate, everything that is missing is absolutely in benefit of the defense right now. There are other reports that are missing that I can't tell you are benefiting of Mr. Kohberger or the state. So he's saying, there's missing data, right? So, where is that missing data? And Whitcomb says that although Ray has remained outspoken about what he perceives to be flaws in the FBI methodology and conclusions, there will be no trial. He will not get the chance. He will not get the chance to provide his findings to offset what the state has said. So we are done with chapter 14. We have one chapter left to go. It says Drunk or Not, Death Row, and the New Normal. So I'm assuming that Whitcomb is going to sum it up for us, provide some information. I don't know where we're going to go from here, but I know I definitely want to start looking at some evidence. Appreciate you being here, asking for your suggestions, what your thoughts are, what you think I should look at, where the treasure trove of the good documents are. And we've got one more chapter to go, so I will see you there.